Welcome to another edition of the Brian Turner Basketball Podcast. Before we get going, can you please like and subscribe to the channel? My goal is to grow this channel within the next year as much as possible, full of basketball content, full of health content, full of life content. So do yourself a favor and make sure you click the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell for all notifications. Also, this video is being brought to you by and powered by SeatGeek.com. SeatGeek.com is an online ticketing app. So any music concert, any comedy concert, any sporting event, baseball, football, basketball, go over to the app, use promo code Coach Turner to get $20 off your first purchase at checkout. Appreciate your time. I'm glad you was able to find this channel. I hope you like this video. For the most part, when I do these interviews, I'm always talking to like legends or like people that I feel like I'm in the process of giving my flowers to. You hear the conversation a lot about people paying homage to folks,
Yeah.
and it can come in a lot of different ways. So people can pay homage to, past greats, somebody that's like they idol that they looked up to. And then like with this generation, when I introduce you, this generation has like what we call like a microwave type mentality where, reels, TikToks, stories, all of those
Yeah.
things
We be
are
on
20
TikTok and that
behind.
stuff.
So it's like, you may not know or be familiar with some of the historical people, that's that came before you. Now, I'm pretty sure your parents probably school you and kind of, put you up on game on a lot of different things like that. But this whole platform is for giving people their flowers. Now, this is the first time that, I've reached out to, you know, different individuals, and like your name kept coming up. It's like for someone that I needed to interview. And I look at like your accolades, I see some of the things that you're doing, but I feel like you have a compelling story that, you can kind of share with the youth, and also you can kind of share with the older generation, because a lot of times people always think of like the next generation of being like entitled. They want everything right now, but you pretty much kind of have like an old soul. And for those listeners
Yeah.
out there, we have Rahjon Williams, and Rahjon Williams is up and coming. And for those who don't really know his story right now, I want him to be able to tell his story, because this is going to be a household name, and I'm predicting this within like the next 10 years, of a young man that's doing the groundwork right now, and I'm pretty sure he's laying the foundation to flourish later on in life. So we just gonna jump right into it, man. Rajon, how you doing, man? You all right?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Okay, so
First podcast ever I've been on, so
all right, so this is good, because again, I'm learning from you and you learning from me, because I'm even though I'm 41 years old, I like to attach myself to like the next generation and like the next wave of what's coming up. And so when I look at someone like yourself, I looked at your stats. I got a chance to follow you around, or follow some of the things that you've been doing on the baseball scene. Now, for the most part, this is a basketball podcast, but you have some rich tradition as far as coming about in like your upbringing. You were born in Carbondale, Illinois, and I'm pretty sure this was a long time ago. So let's just kind of just pick back piggy up, and talk about like just growing up. You're from Chicago. You're living in Chicago. You're from Southern Illinois. What is it like
yeah.
being a 13-year-old living in Chicago right now?
I mean, it's a blessing, Like you see what's happening in Chicago over the years. I'm glad to be here.
Okay. So, all right. So, what now? Tell everybody, all the listeners, like, what grade are you in?
I'm in eighth grade right now. I'm the youngest in my class. It doesn't really phase me though, but I'm still the youngest in my class in eighth grade.
All right. So, you're on the verge of doing something that's like, you're about to get ready to transition to high school real soon. Now, um, I got stats here, and I'm going to share with the listeners, because you've been pretty much like, as far as up and coming, like, and I'm gonna say a prodigy, because when I look at all of the, the Facebook posts, and I see stuff on Instagram and Twitter and different things like that, I'm just surprised that, coming from Chicago, Chicago has always been, in my eyes, a basketball town. So growing up, what was one of the things that made you say, all right, I'm not going to lean towards what a lot of my peers are doing as far as playing basketball. I'm going to transition and do some baseball things. How did that come about?
It, I really started to like the game. I started to like a lot of baseball players. I saw a lot of baseball players like Barry Bonds and all of them. So and then I started playing baseball when I was 5, and it just grew on me. I started to play a lot of baseball.
Okay. So what was like your early recollection of baseball? Was it like T-ball, bitty ball? Was it playing catch? Like how did it come about?
I started to play like a little bit of catch, and then I moved to t-ball, and then I grew up. I started to do like just like in-house type things, and then I moved up to travel ball, which I am now.
Okay, so man, starting at age 5, right? Starting at age 5, and so it was just kind of like what, once a week, twice a week. Like what was the schedule like with like the T-ball schedule at that age? Do you
I
remember?
really, I really don't remember t-ball because it was very long ago, but I just remember like being on the field and enjoying the play game.
Hmm. Right. No, no, that's pretty interesting. So again, we're here with Rahjon Williams, and he's on the verge of going to the 8th grade in Chicago. He's living in Chicago, and I'm gonna throw some stats out there, and I want you just to be able to kind of tell the listeners a little bit about some of the things that when I say them, give me some experiences for those that are listening, as far as like what was those like. So again, you've been playing travel ball since 7 years old. And so was that just locally around like the area, as far as like the Chicago area? What were some of the places that you traveled when you were young, as far as 7?
When I was young, I traveled like all kinds of states like Kentucky, New Orleans, California, all those states and all around the world basically.
Hmm. Wow. What were some of your favorite places to go?
Well, right now, my favorite tournament was in Cooperstown, New York. It was like I was basically playing up in the tournament, and I did pretty well. I was hung around the guys I knew, and I felt come there. Plus, it was the biggest tournament I've been in my life, and plus I won, so I got the ring too to prove it.
Oh man, that's dope. So when you playing in these tournaments, so give the listeners like an idea, because again, I'm coming from the basketball world. So when I think of tournaments, I'm thinking like you may arrive on like a Friday, maybe play a game that Friday night when you get into town, maybe play a couple games Saturday, and then Sunday is like tournament, championship style games. What is a baseball tournament like for those listeners who may not be familiar with how baseball tournaments are kind of scheduled?
The baseball tournament is like so Friday, like you get that practice in to feel ready for Saturday. Saturday is like your 2 games to get to the championship. So if you win those 2 games Saturday, you guaranteed to go to the championship on Sunday. And Sunday is like the big game where everybody sees and you have to basically fighting for that championship trophy or that ring.
Man, that's dope. Now, and you have a unique story, because again, we talk about like basketball being like, I'm gonna say basketball is a finesse sport, as a um as a difference than football. But baseball is more like, how can I put it? You have it's finesse, it's power, it's tons of skill, but you have a special skill set because you are a catcher. So for the
Yeah.
listeners out there, and being a catcher, you pretty much like the point guard, like the quarterback of the team. I think pitchers get a lot of like pizzazz and a lot of the big names, but it's always that catcher that's that special one. So first of all,
Yeah.
tell us, how did you become a catcher, and then I want you to go into details and tell folks just the IQ, how the IQ of a catcher, how it works as pertaining to the game of baseball.
I started catching when I was like pretty young age, I'd say about like maybe 8 or 9. And the coach saw me. He was like, "You'll be a good catcher. You come smart and all that, so you could be a good catcher." And catcher's not easy either. You basically the captain of the field and coach of the field when the coach are around. You see whole field. You see every single position. You gotta call the plays out. You in every single play. Your knees could get hurt. Like anything can happen. And plus you got to talk to the pitcher when he's not like being himself. Like when he's just throwing balls and not being himself.
Wow, wow. So again, so you basically, like you said, you're the coach out there on the field. You're the manager out there on the field. You basically you see the whole field because you have an advantage point to where you can see the pitcher, you can see the first baseman, second base. You can all see all the way out in the outfield. So, kind of talk about the strategies, and you kind of touched on it just a little bit, but talk about the strategies of baseball and how that translates to just as far as playing winning baseball.
So say that again one more time. I'm sorry.
So you playing winning baseball. So you see guys as far as and I just got hip to just the strategies of baseball to where you may have, someone on first base and that it may be, 1 or 2 outs and that person is gonna steal. Take us through the mindset of just like a catcher and as far as the strategies to win and some of the things that you might have to look out for and kind of help coach the team along in pressure situations, like when people are on base. Does that make
So
sense?
say if it's like, yeah, that makes sense. So say if it's like 1 out and it's a runner on first, I give the pitcher like a sign, like, do this. That means to take off the first. You got to take off the first. If the runner is fast, he probably gonna steal. So if you just pick off and you get him, that's at least two. And that saves literally the whole game, probably. And like a championship game, if it's like 2 outs and you need to get that out. If it's like bases loaded, you hit it to the corners. You gotta get to me so I can catch the ball, so I can fumble the game. I can't do that. So I gotta just stay on top of my game. And I gotta be smart.
Wow, wow, that's interesting just to hear the whole mindset and the IQ of a 13 year. I mean, are you even 13 yet? That's what I meant to ask you. So, are you 13 yet? Or are you
Yeah,
12?
yeah. I'm 13. I just turned 13 about like a week ago.
Oh man, happy belated birthday because I'm sitting up here just like
And
here you are, even just talking to you and just having this IQ of just someone again, like we talked about this, someone with just like an old soul, and even just picking up the pastime of baseball because we don't see too many African Americans in baseball. Did that have an effect on even you decided to even go into baseball or kind of looking at it as just like I see all of my friends that may be African American who may decide to play football, play basketball, but it may be a lane over here on this baseball in this baseball lane that I want to try to tackle. Did that ever come to your mind as far as this is why I want to do this?
I really just wanted to play baseball because I love doing that. I love to be around the game. I love to play all different positions, and of course, catch is my favorite position. So I like to do like I like to be active. I do football too, but like that makes me active. When it's not baseball season, I do football and stay active. I want to be laying around not doing nothing all summer or all fall.
Yeah, no, that's good. And it's good to just stay active because again, you may not know what's your like best sport. Like you may have the attributes of, doing one thing, but and you may have the passion of doing something, but depending on how you grow up, it may lead you into another direction. But I think this is just good that, you have the IQ for it. That's one thing that I'm just is in such a maze of because again, you don't really see guys. And then, like I said, baseball is a thinking type game. It's like a chess type game on the field, and it's always something strategically that has to go on to where you may not be able to use your whole athleticism. You got to have smarts. You got to have strategy.
Yeah,
Do you think that
you
that's
gotta
the
be
case?
smart.
You say you got to be
Yeah,
smart.
I think that. Yeah, you gotta be smart. You gotta be. You can't be selfish. You gotta be smart. You gotta know what's happening in each play. You gotta basically in catch. You gotta like be involved in every play, so you can't mess up. It's like you gotta be smart. You gotta be like, on top of your game every single play.
hmm So for my listeners out there, because I think they hear this young man, they hear the passion in his voice, they hear the IQ. I want you to tell us, as far as tell us, what are some of your favorite subjects in school, and do those subjects translate to even having an effect on um, your playing career right now, as far as like diving into different things? Because when I was younger, I was always big into stats. I was, I always had basketball cards, looking at stats, looking at rebounds, looking at all these different things, seeing what people at that level is doing, and I always strive for that. What are some of the things in school and some of your favorite subjects that you kind of like to hone in on that you may think helps you translate to having a great baseball career?
I like the subject math. I like to work with like numbers. You gotta be very smart in math because you gotta add the numbers, subtract the numbers, divide, put them into different pieces, make them bigger, and that's really like hard to do. And anything on baseball, it's like it's not really easy. So you gotta be good at it, and you gotta be. It's gonna be good over time for you, but you gotta learn how to be smart with it.
Hmm. So, all right. So you taking care of business in the classroom. You're doing what you have to do. You're saying math, and that's great that you're talking about math, because I mean, man, if you know how to do numbers, and you can utilize that math side of your brain, I mean that can work wonders on well into life after baseball, whatever you decide to do. So, what does a average week look like for you when it comes to training and the hard work? Because I know you're making A's and B's in school, but then do you have, or tell us, what is like your time frame to get stuff done in the classroom and then taking care of business outside of the classroom when it comes to training, or even maybe catching up on homework? What does a week look like for you?
Like a week is like now I get with like 350. So like I don't really have that much time in the day to do anything, but I make sure I do something. So like on Monday, or like after I get out of school, I try to like do like squats or get on the treadmill or do burn squats or hit squats. And I pretty much do that almost every single day out of the week. And if I need to catch up on homework after school, I just do the homework and I find whatever to do to stay active.
Hmm. Right. Because again, you have to start thinking about, but and I tell a lot of my kids, begin with the end in mind. If you able to manage your time, manage your time is like that's being a professional. Whether if you 13 right now and you know how to manage your time, you're now getting in that time frame of doing things as a professional. Because when you think about it, everybody has 24 hours in a day, but what are you doing with
Mhm.
those 24 hours? Was there anybody in your life that kind of put that in you to make you kind of say, hey, I got to manage this? Do you have like a particular coach or someone that you can kind of say, this person right here kind of laid the foundation down for me to make sure that I'm taking the game serious, taking life serious, because you only get one chance at this?
Yeah, so Coach Dennis Bowler, he's the president of my team, also known as Coach BD. He like makes sure that I'm on top of my work and I'm doing good in baseball. He's been around me since I was basically played the game. He teaches me really everything in the cage for I don't know how long I can even count. He's working on everything, and plus he wants me to be great and do anything that I could do, be in the next level.
Hmm. And that's great that coach, Coach Butler, you got coaches that kind of gave you the ball at a young age and say, all right, this is what you have to do. Because a lot of times, we talk about legacy, and I talk about it a lot with my teams. And it's basically is just like I tell folks a lot of times that, you know, uh doing things that mean a whole lot, setting yourself aside from everybody else, driving to that, you're going to be a part of someone's legacy, because people are going to look back and say, oh, that's so and so's kid right there. Oh man, he's been in that program, or you come from this type of program, and you belong and you latch on to that person's legacy. So I know those guys are real proud to be able to see, someone like yourself, doing the things now. And even though, like you said, this is your first interview, this won't be your last interview. You know what I'm saying? Because what we're doing right
Yeah.
now, establishing what we call a digital footprint. So, and this is worth, man, more than gold, because you're going to be able to go back in time. Once everybody, when we put this up, and everybody get a chance to hear this, this is going to be your digital footprint. So you can go back in 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and say, wow, I remember when, I was giving shouts out to this and telling folks this is what my day looked like. And now, or during that time, you're going to be like, wow, I look back on this and it paid off. So that's good to know. So again,
Yeah, it's
tell.
good to make some memories. It's good to make some memories that you could look back on and say, wow, that was me when I was like 13. Yeah. Wow, that was me at 10. I was doing all those things. I could just, wow, that's very surprising.
Right. Just think about it. Think about if you see like a scrapbook right now from your family or your house, and you look back at it, you at awe in that maze of seeing like your baby pictures. You at awe in that maze of seeing like your first steps, your first walks. And this is gonna fit right into that same category. You get a chance to say, man, I remember I was doing my interviews like this, and the goal should be you standing up in front of that podium, draft day or after a great game, talking to the media, just like you're doing right now. So hats off to you. So give everybody a chance to if people want to go follow you, if people want to follow up with you. This is Rahjon Williams, man. He's a stellar student athlete out of Chicago, Illinois, man, and give everybody your middle school, and you represent the Tigers over there for my listeners. So what's your middle school, and have you had plans on like going to visits? Have you got like any high school on your mind? So I want you to tell everybody all of that good stuff that you kind of working on. That's kind of under the radar.
Yeah, the high schools I had in mind was I really had Simeon under my mind because like Coach B, he's the coach of Simeon and also Coach, I forgot to mention Coach Lacey. He also like made me have a different mindset than everybody else. He always um had me made me never give up. He always believed in me. He always put me in tough situations, and that's why I wanted to go to Simeon because I really know like a lot of coaches and other people that think the next level to go to college or to Major League Baseball.
Right. And Simeon, excuse me, Simeon has always been known as the powerhouse basketball school. And so, you have your eyes set on making that a baseball powerhouse, or kind of tell us about the baseball tradition at the school.
You said what again?
I said people know Simeon is like the traditional basketball school and the basketball powerhouse. And I'm asking, is Simeon a baseball powerhouse? And can you tell the listeners a little bit about the baseball tradition at the school?
Baseball
From
tradition at
or
the school is baseball tradition at the school is like it's just so known. You know, you got some players from the team like Trey Butler. He's the son of Coach DB. We got some pretty well known like basketball is good, but like baseball, I feel like people go to more games for baseball, not really basketball that much.
wow, man, that's dope to know. And so you at West Inglewood Middle School. What's your middle school that you're at right now?
I'm at Learn Hunter Perkins, just on 83rd and Hermitage.
Okay, shout out to your middle school. But yeah,
Yeah.
throw some more things out there that you want to kind of tell the people. You got some inspirational things because I'm like I said, I follow and I keep up with you when it comes on the inspirational side. So give some words of encouragement and words of advice for maybe like the next generation of some youth or some kid is going to see this video and say, man, who was this Coach Turner was interviewing, and what do we have to do, what's going on? So I want you to kind of just, what's some advice you can give guys out there as far as working hard and living out their dreams?
Hang around the right people, like hang around the right place that's gonna get you to the next level. Like Coach DB and Coach Lacey, I wouldn't be the person I would right now if it wasn't for them being this smart and being the way that I am now in baseball. And don't get out work. Don't get out work is like don't let anybody put in more work than you. Every time in the morning I hit baseballs. I know any nobody else is really doing that. Other people just like in their bed, sleeping, probably on their phone. and maybe going to school. So I just want to be different from everybody else and always be different.
Mm-hmm. Man, that's great to hear, man. Hear from a wise 13-year-old. So, man, I appreciate your time because I know you got to get up in the morning, man, to hit those books. For my listeners, I
Yeah.
want you guys to be grateful for every sunrise and thankful for every sunset. So, I appreciate your time, and I get a chance to
Appreciate you.
listeners on the next episode. So, appreciate you.
Appreciate you too for having me on here.
All right, bet.
All right.